In episode 6, Judy's about to go in for her first treatment, and it's got Jen completely on edge. She sits both Charlie and Henry down and tells them both, I need your help on this. This is an all-hands-on-deck situation, so I need you to step up with her in treatment. As if she didn't have enough stuff on her plate, Henry hands her a bunch of papers and says, are you still going to help me make my cranes for Christ? Jen now has to make 1,000 paper cranes. Henry's big concern, though, is Judy. He asks his mom, is she going to be okay? And his mom says, yeah, we're doing all the right things. She should be okay. She then gets in the car and drives Judy to her first treatment. Judy's in pretty good spirits, as expected. She's also trying a bunch of alternative medicines because, hey, why not? But Judy gets really upset when she mentions how after the chemo, she's probably going to go into menopause, which means she's never going to have a kid. And Jen tries to make her feel better by saying, well, I'm going through menopause right now, so I'll be right there with you. But it doesn't really make Judy feel any better. They get to the hospital, they strap Judy in the chair, and she gets ready to do this thing. It's going to be weeks of this. Chemo, feeling crappy, but Jen has plans to be there the entire time. And to repay her, Judy has plans to help Jen out with making those paper cranes. After her first round of chemo, she is in fact feeling pretty crappy. She's staying in Charlie's room for the time being, and Charlie brings her some tea. They start making a little bit of small talk, and then Charlie notices all of the medicine that she has to take. One has definitely caught his eye. It's the gummies. Judy tells him, I'm not going to really notice if a few go missing. But even though Judy is trying to put on a strong face, she feels like crap. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into a couple months. And next thing you know, Judy has finished 1,000 paper cranes and chemotherapy. During all of the chemotherapy, Detective Perez has been trying to get in touch with Jen, though. That's because Nick has been able to figure out where that piece of wood came from. He showed up at Detective Perez's desk and dumped a bunch of wooden birds on the table. Detective Perez tried to brush it off and said that she didn't see the similarities, but clearly Nick is onto something. In order to kind of get him off the scent, she tells him that she'll be the one to take all of this information to Detective Moranis. But in the meantime, he's supposed to focus on finding the driver of the hit and run. Way easier said than done. I mean, Nick is just sitting at a computer looking at security cam footage over and over and over again. All that hard work pays off, though, because he does find something interesting. It looks like the hit-and-run vehicle, and Charlie was the one who was driving it. Back over with Perez, though, she finally is able to get in touch with Jen, and when they meet up, she is not happy. She feels like Jen's been blowing her off. She just isn't aware of the current situation. She shows it to Jen and says, I'm supposed to give this to the FBI. Apparently, a little gal pal is running around handing out birds. I mean, I didn't, but that doesn't mean they're not going to figure it out on their own. If Nick can figure it out, they will. Jen starts crying, telling Perez, I don't care if they figure it out. Let them figure it out. And as Perez is ripping into her, finally Jen says, Judy has cervical cancer. Jen starts just bearing her soul to Perez about how scared she is that she's going to lose Judy. And how all of this has been bottled up because she can't let Judy see her like this. Instead of saying anything, Detective Perez just sits in the car and listens. When she gets out of the car, she picks up Judy, and she takes her home because Judy just finished 3 months of chemo. It's quite an accomplishment, and it's one that Jen wants to celebrate, but Judy can't because her nurse ended up dying of a heart attack, so she's pretty emotional. No matter how much Jen tries to cheer up Judy, Judy just isn't really willing to be cheery. So Jen tries an alternative method. Judy had all of those different kinds of medicines, and that included mushrooms, so Jen takes some. She convinces Judy to take some. And a little while later, they're both tripping balls. These two are having a great time. But when Jen goes to the bathroom, Judy gives her some advice. Whatever you do, don't look in the mirror. And Jen doesn't follow it. And when she looks in the mirror, she sees her mom, who died of cancer, staring back at her. It freaks her out so much that she comes out of the bathroom and says to Judy, you got to take me to the hospital. I'm having a heart attack. Of course, Judy can't take her to the hospital. She's also on shrooms. So that leaves Charlie to take her to the hospital. And Charlie's reveling in the fact that he has to take his adult mother to the hospital because she's the one on drugs. As Charlie and Jen head to the hospital, Judy has to watch Henry. She doesn't come right out and say to Henry, hey, your mom's going to the hospital because she's tripping balls. She just tells him that his mom has to go out for a bit. And that's the reason why she's the one doing the tuck-in for the night. She then gives him the 1,000 paper cranes that she made him. And it's something that Henry really, really appreciates. He knew his mom didn't want to do it and probably wouldn't have done it. So the fact that they got done is something that he wasn't really expecting. She asks him, what are you going to do with all these? And he says, well, I'm supposed to make a wish. He's supposed to wish for Christ's return, but he wants to use the wish on Judy to make sure that she's okay. And that's because Judy's like his second mom. She is really, really touched by this comment. But his actual mom is getting some interesting news. She's checked into the hospital and she's not having a heart attack. But she is pregnant, 4 months pregnant. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry. It'll be up in a day or two.